Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Inner Light Ministries weekly virtual gathering that we have. I'm Reverend Deborah Johnson, and as always, it is such a pleasure to have you with us and to spend this time together. I'm going to invite you to just take a deep breath, and with every breath, we set an intention. We set an intention to be awake, alive, available, open, receptive, yielded, surrendered. Let's take that breath. Today, we're going to be talking about finding peace in the midst of the storm. And whew, if you're looking at this in real time, what a time we are in. What a time we are in. Just a week, little over a week before the 2024 elections. And there's a lot going on in the world right now. A lot going on. And even if you're looking at this at another time, I guarantee you there's still a lot that's going on because life is in session. Life is in session. And that's why we come. That's why we come to Inner Light. We come here not to run away. We come here not to put our head in the sand and try to pretend like things aren't going on. We come here for our resilience, our strength, to get fortified. We come here to transform, to heal, to know that no matter what it is that's gone on in the past, it's not the last word. Coming to remind ourselves that there's something bigger and greater that is in charge. And when we will our will to be in alignment with divine will, magic happens. The magic happens. There's so much more to us than what meets the eye. At Inner Light, we honor all paths that are leading to healing, that are leading to spiritual truth, social justice, environmental regeneration. We embody the spiritual oneness. We appreciate the individualized expressions, and that means you in all of your uniqueness. We provide tools for living that encourage us to practically apply universal spiritual principles to all of life's circumstances, all of them, personal, professional, political, all of them. And one of the tools that we offer are affirmative activations. Affirmative activations. These are sentences, they are concepts, they are ideas, they're practices. Okay. And when we repeat them, when we focus our attention on them, when we take them in enough so that they become part of our subjective reality, when they find a root deep in our soul, it can bear such fruit. Sometimes I like to think of these affirmative activations like a North Star. It points the direction in which we are to go. I sometimes refer to them like a tuning fork, where they tell us what to be, give us that note, like a tuning a guitar or something, where we recalibrate to this frequency, this divine frequency, in order for us to be the all that we can be. So just breathe that in. Breathe that in. We're talking today about finding peace in the storm. The affirmative activations for today are going to come on your screen. And I invite you, if you're able to to say the affirmative activations along with me. We are in the world, but not of it. We have the strength and resilience to endure and revive. No matter how toxic the environment, spirit is always a breath of fresh air. We remain steadfast when all around us is swirling. We are resolute and resolved, centered and calm. Resonating with the divine, we vibrate at higher frequencies. With clarity of focus, I recalibrate easily. Riveted on truth, I correct quickly when I'm veering off course. Anxiety cannot sway me. Doubt cannot deter me. Remaining steadfast and joyous, my mantra is I walk in the love of God. Just breathe this in. Breathe this in. And see if there's something in particular that's catching your attention, that's calling to you. Maybe it's riveted on truth. I correct quickly when I'm veering off course. Perhaps it's I remain steadfast when all around us is swirling. Maybe it's anxiety cannot sway me, doubt cannot deter me. Or no matter how toxic the environment, spirit is always a breath of fresh air. Just breathe it in. And whatever that is, it's really calling out to you. I encourage you to come back to it. Come back to it. And perhaps if there's something that's you're not quite feeling, or you have some question about, or maybe even some resistance towards, come back to that too. Okay. What's calling us, what we're resisting, both have tremendous, tremendous value to us. There are lessons that are in there. So breathe this in, come back. And like the affirmative activations, to just help cultivate our consciousness into a greater place of receptivity for the principles and the things around finding peace in the storm that we're going to be talking about. We are going to tune into a beautiful offering by some of my ministerial colleagues, Melissa Felipe and Z. Egloff. Just sit back, relax into it about peace and power and presence.
It started out small, something less than a touch. I didn't even know it was you. God was unreliable, a crazy man, righteous, someone I should love and fear. What kind of sense is that? It started out small, something less than a touch. I didn't even know it was you. When I stumbled upon your power, I lost what I was taught. The crazy and the righteous enfolded in a love so vast it stretched the very definition of the word love. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me.
I surrender. I surrender to your love. I surrender. I surrender to your love.
You are not outside of me, and yet you are. It makes no sense, but then it does, for you are here wherever here may be. I speak to you, you speak to me. The voice is mine and not mine, landing in the space between where you and I vanish and begin, stretching the very definition of the word me. You. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me.
I surrender. I surrender to your love. I surrender. I surrender to
I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me. I feel your peace and your presence and your power. My God, I feel your peace and your presence in me.
I surrender.
I feel your peace and your presence and your power.
Let's just breathe that in for a moment. Finding peace in the storm. You know, life is in session. Life is in session. And there are always a lot of things that are going on at any moment in time. We are not promised that if we do our spiritual work, that we're not going to go through some stuff. That's not the promise. The promise is that while we're in it, we won't be destroyed by it. Listen to what I'm saying. It isn't just that you'll come out on the other side, but while you're in it, you won't be completely destroyed by it. See, we're in the world, but we're not of the world. The New Testament was first put out in Greek. So this in the world, in if we were to spell it Greek, it'd be en in the English language. But this in means like around, next to, above, behind, in front of, under it. You're surrounded by it. It's like if you were to dip something into uh a chocolate fondue, or dip something into the water. Whatever it is that you're dipping into, it would be thoroughly around and encased by whatever, the chocolate, the water, whatever it is it's being dipped into. However, the thing itself, if it's a solid something, it won't lose its essence. Okay, it'll just be covered and cloaked with that stuff. Okay, it's in it, but it's not of it. The Greek word ek, of, it also means to be from. Okay, so we're in it, but we're not of it. We're not from it. This is so extremely important because we are not our stuff. I was having a counseling session the other night, just impromptu. One of my I call them my young folks. Most of these are people who grew up in the Inner-Light community, or their parents were a part of it, and they as children came sporadically, but I've still kept contact with them, and it's always fascinating to me. This is a young man; he's freshman now, and we were talking romantic stuff at this particular point, and he said a couple of times about his thoughts and what was going on and his words, and he kept coming back and saying, yeah, I know I'm my thoughts, and I know I'm this, and I know, and I eventually I stopped him and just said, no, you are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You're the thinker. Your thoughts are going to come and go. Don't you become so attached to your thoughts that you let them define you. You're not your emotions. Your emotions are going to come and go. Your emotions won't always give you truthful information. Okay? Your emotions are just your reactions to the triggers and the unhealed places within you. And if you identify too much with your emotions as who you are, then there's no room for your growth and your healing. There has to be a you, and then there's the thoughts. Okay. Otherwise, instead of you having thoughts, thoughts have you. And for a lot of us, this is the case. And we can certainly see it in our socio-political environment. Like, instead of us having emotions and opinions, there are all these emotions and opinions out there that have us. Who's driving the bus here? It's like, who's in control? See, finding peace in the middle of the storm. So here's this conundrum, this dilemma that trips us up a lot. We have to own it, but not identify with it. Okay, listen to what I'm saying. If you deny that those are your thoughts, if you deny that those are your feelings, then you can't change them. You can't do anything with them. You can't change something that you can't see. You can't influence something that you don't even feel connected to. So we have to be able to see it, own it, realize that we have some responsibility for it, accountability for our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, our words, all of that. But don't identify with it so that it is us. It's us. No, I have it because I have it. I have control over it and can do something about it. But the reason why I have control over it and can do something about it is because I am not it. When we identify too much with it, we become it. And as long as you are it, in terms of these things that are negative and all the rest of it, you can't shift from it because we multiply. We multiply everything. We multiply it. Okay. So each and every one of us is having to make a decision. And we need to be conscious about the decision of what it is that we identify with. I learned years ago, particularly coming out the closet, that it wasn't what people called me that mattered. It's what I answered to. Listen to what I'm saying. It's what I answered to. Think about it like if you're walking down the street and you hear some slur being hurled at you from behind. Okay. Do you stop and turn around because you think it's about you? Okay. Or do you keep walking? Do you keep walking knowing who you are? I know I've shared this many times because it's just really struck me when Martin Luther King Jr. was walking down the street once. And this white guy comes up to him and says, "You know, you Martin Luther King Jr.?" And he says, "Yes, sir, I am." And the guy spits on it. King just opens up his coat, takes out his handkerchief, wipes his face, wipes his suit, grabs the man's hand, puts the handkerchief in the guy's hand, and keeps on walking and says to him, "I think this belongs to you. It's not mine. I'm not going to keep it. There's no sticky stuff here to keep this stuff attached to me." See, finding peace in the middle of the storm. Too many of us are trying to get out of the storms in our lives in order for us to find the peace. We think it's a prerequisite almost that the storm has to stop in order for us to find the peace. When we're thinking that, we are in high alert. When we are fighting, when we're feeling scared, doubtful, anxious, intimidated, stressed, the little Neanderthal brain, our most primitive brain, is the most activated. And when that happens, it cuts off our access to the frontal lobe, where the creativity is, where the logic, where the reasoning is. So when courts talk about there being a crime of passion, this is what they're talking about, where somebody is just so triggered emotionally and they're just working off of all of the neural synapses that's happening in the mammalian brain that they can't think, they can't see. Okay. And they're doing things because they have lost access. They've lost access. And they're busy trying to hurt, get rid of, shoot, kill, harm, whatever the stressor is, feeling like that's what's going to get them on the other side. No. Take a breath. Take a breath. And this is part of the secret. Just as simple as take a breath. Okay. When you take a breath, it stops the neurosynaptic activity that has you going around in the loop. When you take the breath, you get to reset. Okay. The breath is a recalibration. Think of an athlete or something, and they're playing basketball, they're playing tennis, whatnot, and it's getting heated or it's getting tense. And when the more that happens, the more they get off their game, the more mistakes that are made, the more fumbles, the more fouls, the more, out of bounds or whatever it is that's happening in their game. And there's this moment when you watch them, they have to stop. They have to collect themselves. Okay. Even if they're just leaning over their knees and and breathing heavily because they're so tired. They're finding peace in the middle of the storm. Okay. The game hasn't stopped yet, but they're trying to kick in and find that second win. They're trying to kick in and find that place of more strength, more endurance, so that they can make it to the end. Listen to what I'm saying. Okay. You have to get fortified right where you are. You got to get fortified right where you are. I don't care if we're talking about being on the battlefield. I don't care if we're talking about a battle in your bedroom. I don't care if we're talking about something on your job, something in your community, something with your kids, your mama. We have to separate. We have to stop. We have to go back and find that place of center within us so that we can go on. What do I mean when I say this place of center? What I'm saying is that there is something within you that is perfect, whole, and complete. There is something within you that is genuine. It is authentic. Okay. It is pure in its essence. It is not defined by anything that's going on in the outer world. Its potentiality is not defined by anything that's going on in the outer world. It has full capacity and simply needs your recognition. It needs to be released. It has to be tapped into and allowed to be the base from which you come. As long as you're waiting for the outer things to change, you can't tap into it. As long as you're waiting for people, places, things, circumstances, or whatever to change, in order for you to find some peace, you're going to run out of energy. You're going to run out of enthusiasm. You're going to be tired, weary, and worn. Even in the midst. That's where you find the peace. That's where you find the joy. I say all the time that don't confuse being joyful and happy. Okay. Happy comes from the English word happenstance. Happenstance is when you are pleased with the circumstances. Okay, that's when you're happy. But you can find joy even when you're not happy. You can find joy even when you're not happy. You could be in deep grief, okay, over a loved one. And the embrace and the support and some tender, intimate moment with another loved one supporting you and being there with you, you can feel a sense of joy in that embrace, even as you're grieving and feeling pain about something else you won't be able to grab again in the physical world. We make the mistake of feeling sometimes like, well, I don't even have permission to be joyful with all this stuff going on. We get sometimes the equivalent of survivor's guilt. Survivor's guilt is when you're the one left standing. You're the one who's the less or the least impacted. The other people died. The other people suffered more consequences or whatnot. And you feel guilty that you came out more ahead than everybody else. You feel guilty about your station. Sometimes we're concerned that other people may be judging us in regards to that. Sometimes it makes us question our own worthiness. Sometimes it feels like betrayal. How could I be doing so well? How could I be feeling so good and they're dead or they're injured? They've lost their job, their kid, whatever it is, we get these stories in our head about why we don't have the right to be at peace because of all of these other things that are going on. We got to heal that. We have to heal that. Give yourself permission. This has to be a place of deep intent. This isn't just a question of how do I try to find the peace in the middle of the storm. That starts off with the storm being the main center of attraction. Okay. I've given this topic that title because that's the way we usually think about it. But it's really more, how do we live in a state of peace, regardless of the storms that are going on? Because when we're living in that place of peace, we're less botherable. I don't know if that's a real word or not, but I think you can relate to it. We're less susceptible just like what happens with our immune system. Okay? When your immune system is low physically, then whatever germs and things that are viruses that are going on around you, you're more likely to take them on. When your physical immune system is higher, you can be around these same things and you not be as impacted by it. Okay, that's why we were wearing masks all during the COVID period, because these viruses are communicable. Okay, we're passing them on one to another. And we're wearing the mask not only so we don't get it, we're wearing the mask because we didn't know whether we had it and not wanting to pass it on to somebody else. Thoughts are communicable. We're dying from secondhand consciousness sometimes, but we get to control it. We get to control it. You get to control, just like with your physical immune system, you get to control your spiritual immune system. Your spiritual, it just works like a physical immune system. So when your spiritual immune system is up, you can be around a whole bunch of foolishness and you not catch it because you're not as susceptible. You're not as vulnerable. So just like we know it would be foolish to keep our physical immune system low and spend all of our time trying to clean up all of the viruses that are all around us, try to get anybody who has any kind of illnesses and whatnot, like to stay away from us to protect us. It's not going to happen. And yet somehow or another, that's what we try to do spiritually. Somehow or another, spiritually, we get to thinking, well, I'm going to be safe just as soon as I get all of these other people out of my life. I'm going to be safe just as soon as my political party wins. I'm going to be safe just as soon as, this situation changes on the job, as soon as I get out of this relationship, as soon as my kid starts acting right, like whatever that story is. And it's like, no, we know that isn't what happens on the physical level. This is not what happens on the emotional or the spiritual level. Just like physically, you have to get your own physical immune system up. Okay. You need rest. You need proper nutrition. You need exercise. Okay. You need all these various things, and they cannot substitute for one another. Okay. You can't trade in exercise for food and food for rest. No. You need them all in a certain kind of balance. Well, it's the same way with our spiritual immune system. And being at peace is when we're able to have a stronger spiritual immune system. And that's going to take things just like with our physical. To have a strong spiritual immune system, it's going to take some solitude. And even if it's just in your own mind, it's this stealing away to the inner place. Be still. Be still and know me. Be still and know I'm God. Be still. Okay. That spiritual immune system also is going to involve, on the other end, being in community, caring for one another, being mutually supportive in different kinds of ways. Okay. It is going to require some compassion, some open-heartedness, forgiveness, reconciliation. Your spiritual immune system is also going to require some vision, some possibility, where you're not just riveted on what's in front of you, on what you see, on having the capacity to see beyond what you see. Every spiritual tradition tells us to do this. Judge not by the appearances. It's all illusion. It's Maya. Keep your eye on the prize. Don't be distracted by all of these outer things. Well, we're really knee deep into this in the socio-political environment that we're in right now. Just take another breath. The same things are true on every level. The same things that are true personally are true politically. What's true on the individual level, it's true on the collective level. It's all the same stuff. We have to find peace in the midst of the storm. Now, I know if you're looking at this real time, you and everybody all over the world is tired of this U.S. election, which has gone on longer than anyone has ever had in history. Okay? With someone declaring their candidacy really early. It has been a very long season. Contentious. And you know what? It's been all of it. It's been amongst the most divisive, and it's also been amongst the most collaborative, like ever. And I know you want it to be over. I get it. But we got to hold on a little bit longer. And in that holding on, find the peace where you are. There's no magic elixir. Hey, the day after the election, it isn't like the world and this nation is just going to suddenly be healed. No, it's not. Okay. So if we're waiting for some external event, you got to inhale and exhale to breathe. Okay. You take it in and you let it go. You got to let it go to create some more space to let the air in. We are collectively holding our breath right now. Let it out to take some in. Only you can find that peace within you. Only you can. And it really does start with the breath. Breathing into it. Breathing helps you dislodge from all the traumas, the triggers, helps you access your frontal lobe, helps you access your higher angels, so to speak. I had a epiphany just while I've been talking here of something that's near and dear in the Black community, that part of the African tradition is to sing songs about everything. It's like this music is part of life. You have songs for working, songs for doing laundry, songs for everything. And this humming, it's not as prevalent now, but it certainly was prevalent amongst the generations above me. And it's always just so soothing. in the midst of everything, this humming of hymns. And there was something about the sound, the vibration, and and they would typically be long notes. With humming, it's not staccato. It's long whole notes a lot even. Um, and this epiphany is how it was a way of controlling their breathing. That the humming kept them in a mantra of breath control. And the humming didn't even have to be audible. Could have just been going on up inside. But it still slowed them down, even in the midst of things, so that they could experience that peace. And that's what would catch from the humming. So I invite you to maybe even try that as a methodology of trying to find some of that peace within. To take a few breaths and hum. Hum inspirational songs, particularly songs that are slower, ballads like Imagine. Try it. Give yourself permission to not keep looking for people, places, and things to change, but give yourself permission to find that peace that really is the truth of your being. We take a breath and we turn within. Let's take it to prayer. This is a day that the Lord has made. We rejoice and are glad in this day. This day, this time, it's not just a chronos moment, undifferentiated time. No, this is kairos. It's a season. It's an opportune time. That something is birthing and something that is happening here. Oh, it's great, grand, and it's glorious. We usher in the highest heaven right here on earth. We are uplifted. We are inspired. We know there's so much more than that which meets the eye. And we call it in. The wisdom, the spirit of the ancestors, the spirit of all of the shamans and prophets and priestesses, the medicine people, the mystics, the shapeshifters, all the ones who have gone before us, who have opened that portal into the divine in such a way here on earth that it's still vibrating. I say thank you, Mother, Father, God, the creative force, the energy from which everything comes, the essence of our life. We recognize and we say thank you. It is with a grateful heart that we are open to blessings too numerous to even count. We are not fooled by the appearances. There's only one of us here. There's only one of us. Genetically speaking, we're all 99.99% the same. That's why we can exchange blood and body parts. We don't lose sight of this. And we celebrate the extraordinary differences between us. I love that about the universe. The great variety of everything. Never doing the exact same thing twice. So thank you, Mother, Father, God, as we uplift each other, care for one another. We give thanks for all needs met, for the healing of the body temple, the healing of our financial body, our emotional body, our political body, all of our affairs, divine order, right action, peace, peace still. I pray in this moment for the bombs to stop, for violence to stop, abuse, oppression to stop. To get into the alignment with the respect for the sacredness of our interdependence, the sanctity of our humanity, that it be respected, revered, protected. This is the prayer: enough everything: food, clothing, shelter, housing, clean air, clean water, safety, health care, community, freedom of expression, control over one's own body, and on and on. This is our prayer. We join the prayers all over the world. We declare it to be good and very, very good. And so it is. And I invite you, if you have a prayer request, please let us support you. You'll see scrolling across your screen, there are ways in which you're able to reach us. You can give us a call at 831-465-9090 at extension 254. You can send us an email at the number 4 and the word prayer at innerlightministries.com. There are people who've been studying for years to be able to hold this space in consciousness with you. And maybe it's something wonderful that's happening. Maybe there's a project coming along or a newborn or something. You just want somebody to stand in alignment with you, to see the highest and the best. We got you. We got you. Thank you. That's good. Yes. And speaking of prayer, Inner Light is teaming up once again with one of our sister congregations, Temple Bethel. And the day after the election, okay, November the 6th, the day afterward, there will be a vigil from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. That's going to be Pacific time, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. It's via Zoom. It's an hour, and it's an hour of prayers and song, of poetry, of meditation, whatever the outcome is. Okay, we need to go there in consciousness, and you can get the Zoom link by going to our calendar. It'll be posted there on our newsletter. And for any other information about where we'll be or what we'll be doing, you'll find that on the newsletter. A couple of days before the election, this coming Sunday, we will be having our monthly gathering that we have at the Resource Center for Nonviolence. That's on Ocean Street in the San Diego area. Our Inner Light band will be there, and Jamie Lula will be back from Los Angeles joining us. And, you know, a couple of days before the election, we really need to get together, deep in consciousness. And he's the man to help hold that space for us to lift our voices and create this energetic vibration for the highest and the best, for freedom and justice and equality. We'd love to see you there. And if you can't come in person, it does stream live. That's at 3 p.m. Pacific time on the 1st of November. We take another breath. And then I want to say thank you to everyone who makes donations. This is our time of conscious giving. We are an independent ministry. We survive on and thrive on the donations that come in. Even if this is your very first time, you're part of the Inner Light community. If this message has blessed you in any kind of way, we invite you to also make contributions so that we can continue to multiply this message. You can see coming up on your screen that there are various ways in which you can make the contribution. You can use a debit or a credit card through using the QR code. It will give you an opportunity to make a recurring donation there as well. You can text to give at 831-231-0065. Once again, there you can also choose a recurring option. You can send us on Cash App, $ Inner Light Ministries. Perhaps you're on a computer and you want to just go straight to the website where there's a donate button there. Regardless of the methodology, know that every nickel, dollar, and dime is going towards our work of healing and transformation. Our monthly tithe for October is going to the hurricane relief. As we know, there have been some really devastating hurricanes that hit Florida and the Carolinas and that whole area. And we're just sending a little love that way to make sure that the people there are able to recover as much as they possibly can. I invite you to bless your offering with me. And if you're able to repeat after me, my every act produces abundance. I dare to give freely unto the truth that sets us free. I release this gift, knowing it returns to me 1,000-fold. Yes. And remember, this is not a one-way street. You are blessed by your own giving. Okay? Your own generosity blesses you. It returns to you 1,000-fold. So thank you for being with us. Keep breathing. Come back to this. Say the affirmations again. Like us, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make that donation. And as always, take this consciousness and multiply it. See you next time.